you hear all the time from the right, oh, Second Amendment gives you an individual right to bear arms. That's it. And in fact, the Supreme Court, under the massive hypocrite Scalia, said that you have a right to a handgun. Now, he's the guy who keeps saying the Constitution is not alive. He recently said it is dead, dead, dead. You must strictly interpret the framers' intent and the language of the Constitution. Now, in the language of the Constitution, of course, in the Second Amendment, it says that you need a state militia. That's why you have a right to bear arms. He just ignores that first part of the Second Amendment. Just ignores it. Don't worry about that language. Strict construction, my ass. Okay? I'm just going to say that, yeah, you have this right to handguns that is unlimited. Now, what's interesting is he doesn't say an unlimited right to weapons. He says handguns are the most popular form of self-defense in America, hence you have a right to handguns. Now, wait a minute. Where in the Constitution did it talk about handguns? I thought you were a strict constructionist. Now, this is the same guy who said, oh, where in the Constitution does it talk about trimesters? The first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. Roe versus Wade is ridiculous. Really? Where in the Constitution does it talk about the difference between an assault rifle and a handgun? Oh, right. It doesn't. You made that up. Now, what's also interesting is that the Second Amendment was not always interpreted this way. In fact, it was interpreted quite the opposite way. Did you know that the Founding Fathers were in favor of gun control? Now, you don't often hear that, right? You know who else was in favor of gun control? The NRA. In the 1920s and 30s, they were one of the biggest groups demanding gun control. The NRA initially started by two guys who were in the Civil War. They fought on the Union side, and they were so mad that the Union side were terrible marksmen. They wanted to teach them how to be better marksmen in case they had to go to another war with the South or anybody else. It was not to protect their homes. It was to, if they needed to re-enlist and go back to war. And throughout all the different years, until you got into the late 1970s, the NRA was about marksmanship, at times strict gun control, sportsmanship, etc. In the late 1970s, they do a coup overnight in the NRA. And there was a radical right group that said, no, we should change the whole focus of the NRA, and what it should be is an individual right to bear arms. We have that unlimited right. And they take the NRA in that direction. Now, at the time, the court thinks it's ridiculous. And by the way, these strict constructionists apparently never read the first sentence of the Constitution. Second Amendment, how about this first sentence of the Constitution? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. But domestic tranquility and the general welfare be damned, because somebody's got to sell some guns. And the NRA, instead of becoming a group that represents gun owners and their members, becomes a group that represents gun manufacturers that is much more interested in pushing out guns. But when they do that, they run into opposition in the courts, because the Second Amendment has never been interpreted that way. In fact, Warren Burger, who was not a liberal justice, he was a conservative justice, the Chief Justice. When they presented him with the idea that the Second Amendment gives you an individual right to bear arms, he called that argument, quote, a fraud. A fraud. That is a conservative justice. And that's not 1870 or 1920s. Now, we're in the late 1970s, early 1980s now. But the NRA changes, Reagan comes in, and they begin to change the whole idea. And what they do is they fund think tanks. And what do the think tanks do? Oh, yeah. The Constitution has always said that it's an individual right to bear arms. When in fact, the Supreme Court didn't think that, and the Founding Fathers didn't think that, and that was not conventional, was it? But here's my favorite part. Orrin Hatch, who was a senator back then as well, Republican senator from Utah, says that he found an old document that shows that, oh, secretly, they had this idea all along. I love one phrase in it particularly. According to his commission report, it claimed to find clear and long-lost proof that the Second Amendment to our Constitution was intended as an individual right of the American citizen to keep and carry arms in a peaceful manner for the protection of himself, his family, and his freedoms. Now, I love that for two reasons, because one, it shows you at the time, again, late 1970s, early 1980s, they think Well, obviously, everybody realizes it is not an individual right. So we have to pretend that we were right all along, and we found a long lost document that shows that we were right, when everybody realizes at this point, or thinks at this point, that we are wrong, that that is not the right that the Second Amendment gives you. And the second reason why I love it is, oh, well, what do I have here? Yeah. I have a long lost document. That's the ticket. And it tells me that it's an individual right to bear arms. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and the think tanks agree with me that are paid by the gun manufacturers. Yeah, that's the ticket. And what did they do? And this is the amazing part. They won. They repeated that propaganda over and over and over again until people forgot that that's not true. That's not the way Supreme Court had ruled. That's not the initial intent of the founders. And then people were like, well, it's always been an individual right to bear arms. That's what the Second Amendment says. So by the time Scalia issues his ruling in 2008, people forgot what a giant hypocrite he is. That is not the strict construction of the Constitution. That was not the intent of the Founding Fathers. That it was a lie all along. That's how they duped this country into having the sea of weaponry that we have now, so those gun manufacturers can make more money. It was a brilliant propaganda campaign, and unfortunately worked incredibly well. Steve-O.